Thank you. I see it. And fade. Hey, everybody. It's David from OutsiderBubble.com, and I'm bringing you live today here from North Texas Jellystone Park in Burleson, Texas. And for some reason, I just see hi, everybody. We're going to try this again because I'm not sure that it quite worked because it looked like our video feed screwed up a little bit there. But in case it didn't work, I'm David Bott from OutsiderBubble.com, coming to you live from Burleson, Texas at North Texas Jellystone Park. And I'm joined today by my buddy and tech guru, Michael Kidd, who is currently live from Las Vegas, Nevada.
Vegas.
So, Michael, say hello, and Michael's from turtleherding.com.
Yep. Hi, everybody. You've probably seen us do this before, right? I mean, it's David and Michael outside our turtle herding bubble. Turtle bubbles. We've been here before.
I totally forgot about that. Yeah. We actually took out the domain name at that point, if I recall correctly.
Yes, we did.
So in any case, we are just here transmitting across the country between us to come live to you to talk about lithium batteries and are they right for you? Basically, that's what it comes down to. Now, understand the fact that everybody who is anybody in the YouTube industry has posted about lithium batteries. Let's get that straight first and foremost. They have literally posted about lithium batteries, and I have not. I mean, I've talked about it on live drives that I'm going to switch over to lithium. I have talked about it, as a lot of you know who follow us, but at this point, I have not yet done so. Why? Because I've been waiting, because I've been trying to help out a friend of ours, Donald Chen from EEZRV Products, who is going to come out with his own battery at some point, lithium battery. And I told Donald that I would help test his batteries. However, Michael, my buddy, has done not just lithium batteries, he's done Tesla batteries in his motor coach, which is an amazing thing to say the least. So Michael is my expert in regards to when it comes to lithium batteries. And he's done amazing things with his motor coach. Put it this way, he can run his ACs off of his batteries, which is amazing because you can't normally do that. So here you can see Michael's battery in his, well, Michael just removed it, but Michael's batteries, those are Tesla batteries. Michael, put that back up if you would.
Yeah,
please.
it is. You should switch over to watch the feed from me instead of watching the YouTube.
Oh, I'm on the wrong feed. Oh, yes.
David's been watching the delayed feed.
I'm watching the delayed feed. I was making sure we were live. Hey, that's me, guys. Come on, I screw up things from time to time, and this is one of them, obviously. So. Okay, so Michael, if you would please put that video back, that slide back up. Thank you very much.
There we go.
Good. Now I know where I am. Thank you. I love it. Okay, so what you're looking at right now is what Michael did in his Tiffin Allegro Bus. He's got a 45 OPP, and he removed all the battery crap from that same compartment and installed this system, which is Tesla batteries, literally Tesla batteries that are in the Tesla cars to power his motor coach. And in doing so, he can actually run air conditioners off of it, which is pretty amazing to say the least.
I can run 2 of my air conditioners in parallel, and that's only limited because I only have 2 4,000 watt inverters. So I can run 2 air conditioners in parallel for about 6 hours before I need to start my generator to recharge these. And then recharging off the generator and in combination with the solar on the roof, I can recharge these in about 2 hours and then go back off generator again for another 6.
And that's amazing to say the least. And so now we're not here to talk about literally putting in Tesla batteries like Michael did. We're talking about today. We thought the topic would be for about an hour or so, thereabouts. And taking your questions, we figured we would talk about everybody else. Let's face it, all the other YouTubers out there have talked about putting in lithium batteries in your motor coach? And is it or is it not a good idea for you is the question. And that is literally a good question because it's not for everybody. It really isn't.
Yeah.
Now, Michael went to the extreme. Is it an extreme that I would go to? While I would like to say yes, I would probably say no, because even though, well, Michael probably will convince me later to do it. It's probably cost effective wise. Is it better, yes or no, to do something extreme as a Tesla battery, as it is, say, Battleborn? Or is it, for your case, any
Mm-hmm.
particular RVer out there, is it in your case a good idea to go lithium at all, or versus AGM or regular wet cell batteries? It all
Yeah.
depends on how you use your motor coach.
And how long you plan to keep it.
Good point. Very good point. Because it all comes down to cost. And cost over time is a result of basically, is it worthwhile?
Yep.
So, the good news is we have Michael here. We have a lot of people watching right now. Already 41 people out there. Hello, everybody. Thank
Hi.
you for joining us. And I know it's been a long time. I see a lot of you mentioning things. It's been a long time since you've seen me. Thank you. Yes, I appreciate that. And I am humbled to have my buddy, my virtual techie buddy Michael with me once again. We've done a few of these in the past, but this time is on lithium batteries. And it's kind of a cool concept only because a lot of you know that I've been talking about it for a while, that I need batteries. And by the way, I still need batteries.
Yep.
So, uh, and there's a number of manufacturers out there that make lithium batteries. And as you know, one of the companies that I represent, I shouldn't say represent, that's the wrong word, that I talk about in the TPMS system, and that is the EEZRV products. And they make a TPMS system, which I recommend, but they're also getting into lithium batteries. And I haven't done anything yet because I, along with Michael, have been giving them information in regards to, the best way, hopefully, to make a lithium battery that's cost effective. Now, Michael is an expert, in my opinion, on lithium batteries and how they work. So a lot of this conversation is going to be geared toward Michael and his knowledge of lithium batteries and the advantage of having them, and why he did the Tesla battery versus just drop-in replacements, which is a misnomer, in my opinion. What do you think, Michael?
Uh, so a lot of them, like Battleborn, for example, or Battleborn is actually the aftermarket side of crap. What is the name of them? Dragonfly. So Dragonfly battery supply OEMs. Their aftermarket side is called Battleborn. So they're really the same batteries, but so they actually are very, very much a drop-in replacement as long as they're available in the same size form factor as what you have of your existing batteries.
And that's a very good point. So they're drop-in replacement in one of two ways. One is not only size,
Mm-hmm.
but also is if your charger slash inverter is able to be reprogrammed to actually do the charge rate of a lithium battery versus a wet battery, if you will, or an
Actually,
AGM battery.
yeah, actually, the BMS that's built into Battleborns compensate for that.
Yeah,
Yeah, so they'll
and
take,
actually,
yeah,
literally,
oh yeah, yeah, they'll take a standard charge profile for a lead acid, and it's not perfect for them, but they'll still work just fine.
that's very interesting. So
Yep.
I was not aware of that because actually I've been talking to Battleborn in the past and looking at their batteries, and I've been waiting and consulting with EEZRV products
Mm-hmm.
on their batteries, which they have a few variations that have come out, but they actually, I've, based on your and I conversations, the feedback given to them is they're not ready for RV use, and that's, but they're getting there. They
Yeah.
really are getting there. The last information we got from their last supply line of the batteries and their specs are literally getting to where they should be, which is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, we've had some feedback for
And
them.
they're just
Oh,
one of many manufacturing into this.
Your video
Oh,
glitched
am I
out there for
breaking
just
up?
a second. So
Ah.
yeah, your audio video will be out of sync for a moment, but it'll catch back up here in a second.
But in any case, it's not just EEZRV products. A lot of people are getting into this industry, so
Yeah.
because it is the future, it literally is.
Yep.
So Michael has a Tesla shirt on. Not only does he have a Tesla shirt on, Michael, show me your arm, please. Michael's like a Tesla dude. I mean, he's got a
Yeah.
Tesla tattoo. I'm not kidding. So yeah, he's the guy when it comes to Tesla and stuff. So that's why I love him so much. And of course, I have my Tesla, my retro version of the of the
Back to the Future.
DeLorean,
Yeah.
Back to the Future car Tesla. But so, will lithium batteries work for you in your motor coach? Let's do the cost analysis, shall we? Michael, what's your thoughts?
So a few things. If you're not familiar with Tom Morton, his YouTube channel, Morton's on the Move, you absolutely should go check out his video on this, because he was able to do a side-by-side comparison of the cheapest deep cycle flooded lead acid, an AGM that is the go-to standard for RVers, and then Battleborn batteries. And he did room temperature and cold temperature testing on all of these. And his findings basically boil down to lead acid batteries don't even meet their discharge capacity as rated by their manufacturers. Their 50% discharge voltage cutoff, when you actually calculate the number of amp hours you get out of it, it doesn't meet what the spec of the battery is. So your cost on a lead acid battery, when you're comparing to lithium ion, the upfront sticker shock is significant, right? But when you do that comparison over what your actual capacity is, and then you multiply that out by the longevity of the battery, it's an astronomical advantage in favor of the lithium ion. So that's why we were saying it depends on how long you're going to keep your battery, or how long you're going to keep your coach. If you want to switch your batteries from your current coach to another one, if you decide to change coaches, and then how you use your coach.
And in my particular case, as many of you know who follow me, I've been complaining about my batteries for a while, and I still haven't done anything, and that's a bad thing. And the reason I haven't done anything quite literally is because Battleborn has offered to work with us, but so is Donald EEZ or V products, and I wanna I I don't need. Nah, I don't know how to say this. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I don't want something for free. I need a solution to replace what I have, and I want to go lithium. Now, basically, the decision for you is, if you're considering lithium versus either AGM or wet cell batteries, is comes down to the amount of time you might want to keep your coach, in all reality.
Yeah.
Because lithium batteries are more cost in general.
Yeah.
Upfront.
Yep.
Yes, but over time they're much more efficient, especially when you come to recharging them if you're dry camping somewhere, and the burning of diesel fuel.
Yeah, so that's one thing that's important. The 6 volt lead acid batteries that I had in my coach from Tiffin, their capacity, usable capacity, was let me switch over to this picture here. Usable capacity was only about 220 amp hours per, so 600 amp hours because they're in parallel. So usable was only about 300 amp hours. And then once I got down to that voltage, I would have to run my generator for easily 6 to 8 hours to recharge that 300 amp hours. And that's because the recharge curve for lead acid, you're starting at 50%. You can only bulk charge, like really dump energy into them, up to 80%, and then you have to slowly charge that last 20% up till you hit the top. So I'm wasting all this fuel in the generator running for such a long period of time, because I have to have it running to actually recharge, but I can't dump that energy into the batteries at the rate that the generator is producing it. With lead acid, go ahead.
No. You're right, and the problem being with that is you're burning more fuel than it is
Yes.
worthwhile to charge the batteries.
Yep.
So you're burning your cost goes up quite a bit, and if you offset the cost of the batteries being lithium ion versus wet cell batteries or AGM batteries, and the amount of time it takes to charge them,
Yes.
that actually will offset over time.
Yeah. So if you like boondocking and you have your generator to recharge your batteries, uh, like I was saying, I can run for 6 hours 2 air conditioners. If I weren't running air conditioners, I could run for 18, 20 hours, and then recharge those batteries in 2 hours of generator runtime, compared to running no air conditioners. Maybe the rest of the coach for like 5 hours tops on the lead acids that came installed in the coach, and then have to run my generator for 5, 6, 8 hours to recharge that. So the trade-off, the time cycle is very, very drastically different, and again in favor of the lithium ion.
Now, lithium ion batteries have let's go over a few things about charging and the use of lithium ion batteries. One of the things being is they have to have a really good battery management system in them. And what I mean
Yes.
by that is one of the most important things is they do not charge if they're cold. So,
Yes.
meaning below 32 degrees or 0 Celsius.
Depending on the
Now,
chemistry,
uh,
yeah.
yeah, depending on the chemistry. So, one of the questions I happen to see fly by in all the chat that's currently going on is, Michael, in your particular case with
Hmm.
the Tesla batteries, how did you deal with the cold temperature climates?
So for me, the um, Tesla modules actually have a fluid loop that's built into the module. So I built in this sump. So this, let's see, I don't know if you can see. Okay, there you go. So
Yep.
this sump has a heater in it. It actually is just an aquarium heater, because they heat up to about 75 degrees, 78 degrees. That's perfect temperature for lithium ion. And then I have a pump in there that circulates that fluid through the batteries, and then through this radiator, and then back into the sump. The radiator and fan are for hot temperature use, like summertime. I can have this fan blowing and help keep the cells cool, and then in the wintertime I turn this fan off, and the heater element that's in here kicks in. So my batteries, with this setup, even in the coldest temperatures that we've been in, I've never seen them drop down below about 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So nowhere near the 32 that you should be concerned about.
So yeah, that kind of answers that question.
Yeah.
He's got his own climate control system built into the batteries, which basically is not a climate control that Michael did. That actually is part of the Tesla system. Now,
Yeah.
be aware that companies are aware of this issue. And
Hmm.
Battleborn is one of those companies that actually have addressed this issue by putting in heaters in their batteries,
Yep.
where they'll actually heat the batteries up first before they take a charge if it's below 32 degrees.
Yeah.
Um,
And those
or X
batteries,
degrees. I don't know what the perfect
yeah.
point is, but they have those set in the Battleborn batteries. Now, we're not here to promote any one battery over the other, just so you
No,
know.
we're just talking about what's available and
Exactly.
what we've been familiar with. So yeah, the Battleborns, they do now have a heated battery option. The battery costs a little bit more, and you lose some capacity in cold weather, especially because it's pulling energy out of itself to heat the cell. It's not the end of the world, but it does
No,
use a little bit. Um,
but it all works in the end. It
yes.
works like it's supposed to. And the whole idea is you never want to charge a lithium battery below 32 degrees
Right.
or 0 degrees Celsius, because what will actually happen when it's trying to charge the batteries, it'll strip the lithium right off the freaking cells and
Yeah.
basically fry them.
Yeah.
So
It's permanent,
you want to,
irreversible damage.
yeah, that's it. So when you're looking, if you're looking to replace your batteries and you're looking to use lithium batteries, you have to make sure the battery management system, BSM,
BMS.
BMS, excuse
Yep.
me, BMS, BMS, the battery management system does check for temperature,
Yes.
because it is the most important factor of how the battery charge. Now, is
Yep.
it cost effective for you to replace your current wet cell or AGM batteries with lithium? That will come down to is how long do you plan on keeping your motor coach, for example? Because if you're already planning on
Or if you
keeping, in
want
my
to
opinion,
switch the batteries over to your new coach.
true, that's very true. In my opinion, if you're only going to be doing this lifestyle for another year or so, you might not want to spend the money that it takes if you need batteries. Like right now, I need batteries. My batteries will only run for about 3 hours or 4 hours because they're just so old, and I've never replaced them. And understand, this is a 2014 coach. So, and these are Lifeline batteries. These are high-end batteries. They weren't cheap to begin with, but they have reached their life expectancy at this point and beyond that. I'm actually using them beyond their life
Yep.
expectancy, and I need to do something. I have been holding out because I've been wanting to help Donald, um, and that's just because I want to help. Any
Yep.
case, um,
So, David, do you know
and
what the replacement cost would be for those AGMs that you have?
we'll see the AGMs. I'm not exactly sure. The AGM batteries, I haven't looked up because I know I'm going to go lithium
Yeah.
because I either I'm going to go Battleborn or I'm going to go with Donald's. And I'm or EZRV products. Excuse me when I say Donald. Um, I'm going to go with either one of those batteries only because I'm going to have my motor coach. And so even if I buy the batteries and put the money into the batteries, if I buy another motor coach in the future, I'm going to move those unless the new motor coach comes with lithium batteries,
Mm-hmm.
which they very well may. I will move the batteries from one motor coach to the other and replace the battery, swap them.
Yeah.
Only
A quick
because
search
lithium
online.
is a better way.
Yeah, a
Yeah,
quick
go ahead.
search online, by the way, $430 for one of those batteries. And you need at
Okay.
least two to get to 12 volt because they're 6 volt
Yep.
batteries.
Yes. And in my particular case, here's the other issue. Can you just replace the batteries you currently have with lithium batteries? You might not be able to. Hey, Michael, do you have that photo, if you can pull up, of my slide
Sure.
tray, for example?
Yep, indeed I do.
Now, what you're looking at here is my slide tray with my Lifeline batteries. Now, these are high-end 300 amp hour batteries. So each battery is 300 amp hours. So for 12 volts, I have 900 amp hours total voltage. So the the problem here is, however, is you can see it's 21 inches by 20 inches is the tray size.
Yep.
Now, where's the problem lie in? The problem lies in that most batteries are like for lithium batteries are car type batteries, and they don't fit that size of 20 by 21.
Yep.
So I literally would have to remove the tray. However, a company like Battleborn realized the issue, and so they offer different style batteries to fit. Like right there, that battery would fit in the place. Now, notice it's tall,
Mm-hmm.
but it would fit the footprint of the battery I have right now. But I would need 6 of those, and look at the price.
Well,
So it
not
comes out.
necessarily. Okay. Yeah, let's.
I don't
Let,
need. I don't need. You're right. I don't need 6 of them per
yeah.
se to equal. You're correct. You're
Yeah.
correct.
You could hold
I
six
know
of
where you're
them.
going.
Yes. You could hold 6 of them, but to get the capacity that you have now usable, you really only need 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or 4 to make it nice and equal.
Okay.
So yeah, I would need say 4 of those, but that's still, we're looking at almost $4,500 worth of batteries, and
Yeah.
that's where you start to question, is it worthwhile at that point? It all depends on if you're going to be keeping the coach, how long you're going to keep the coach, how often do you use your batteries? Are you plugged in most of the time, or do you rely on battery power a lot? So all these come into the play if you're going to use them or not going to use them.
Yep. And
Uh,
there
it,
are cheaper alternatives, right? There are
yeah,
other manufacturers of lithium drop-in replacements. A lot of them you can source on Amazon that come directly from China. I would caution, not that there's
yes,
anything wrong with the cells, but I would caution to very, very much check out the battery management system that's built into the battery protection system. a lot of them won't have this cold temperature cutoff that David mentioned earlier, and you can test that. Depending on how the cells are put together, you may be able to pop the top off of it, take the temperature probe, and stick it in a glass of salty ice water, and see if it stops you from being able to charge it. And you don't risk the cells because the cells themselves aren't that cold. But there's a really good YouTuber, Will Prose, Prowse. He does a lot of testing of lithium batteries and solar systems, and he's actually tested dozens and dozens of these battery management systems to confirm if they actually do live up to what their specs are. And what he's found is very alarming. Only about a third of them say they have cold temperature cutoff, and out of those one third, only about half of those actually work. So you got to be real careful with those non-standard, non-name brand manufacturers. You can get a good deal. You just have to check it.
And the positive thing about Battleborn, and we mentioned them a few times, is they're U.S. built. They're made here in the U.S. They really put a lot of time and effort into their batteries. I do not own them. I don't use them.
Nor do
I'm not
I.
For them. Nor does Michael. As you saw, he has Tesla batteries. And I know if Michael meets up with me in July at Southwoods RV Resort, he'll probably talk me into putting in Tesla batteries in my coach. But any case, that's another story. Yeah, so this is not brought to you by Battleborn or anything like that. We just happen to know they actually have done a lot of good things in regards to lithium and getting the correct information out there for people. No lithium battery is cheap, in my opinion. They're not cheap. That's for sure.
Upfront.
But upfront, yes, upfront. That's Michael's correct. Michael's 100% correct when he says upfront, because it all comes out to over time if it's going to work for you or not.
Yep.
So, I haven't been reading any of the messages that have been flying by, other than one asking about the heating capability of your Tesla batteries. And we've got 61 people. We got a lot of messages flying by. So I'm going to quickly scan to see if I can find anything really quick here that might be worthwhile. If you don't mind, just bear with me 1 second.
So we did have someone ask about the graphene revolution. It may be coming. I mean, it's testing well in a lab, but that's not bulk production for general availability. So only time will tell. There's a lot of interesting battery technologies out there that that they have a lot of good promise, but oftentimes bringing them to market is much more difficult than testing them in a lab. So that's about my stance on that. I love the technology. There's a lot of cool stuff. We'll have to wait and see if it hits production.
So our Carney did ask, so if I replace my 4 lead acid batteries with 4 100 amp hour lithium batteries, is it a drop-in solution? Yes and no.
Yeah. Arguably, as long as it will fit physically, then with Battleborn just as the standard, then yes, it would be a drop-in replacement.
You're gonna want to check your dimensions. However, you're also going to want to check that your charger / inverter / charger actually will be able to, you can change the charge rates, because the charge rates, then again, Michael said that Battleborn batteries have a built-in regulator, but I still would want to make sure that my like in my inverter, my Magnum, for example, can do lithium batteries without an issue. I can change my charge cycle for voltages, my float charge, my rapid charge, things like that. I can make those changes needed. So as far as a drop-in goes, 2 things you need to consider for that. One is physical size of the batteries to make sure you can put them in. And again, remember, you may not need if you have 6 batteries, you may not need 6 of lithium. You may only need 3 or 4. But you want to make sure that the footprint will fit the area you're going in. But second, you want to make sure that your charging system is able to accept or charge correctly lithium ion batteries, because it is a different charge rate. Michael,
So
more on that?
Yeah. Yeah. So the default lead acid charge rate will work with a Battleborn, but it's not going to be optimized, right? It'll get you there eventually but your Magnum inverter or whatever you have, at a lead acid profile, it's going to charge up to that 80% battery voltage level, and then it's going to slowly add the rest. So you're not going to be as efficient, but you will eventually get there. So if you like the Magnum inverters, as long as you have the control panel that you can modify the charge profile, all the Magnum inverters will be able to be modified to use the lead or the lithium ions. And actually, like that's actually what I'm using. These are the two hybrid. Well, actually, this shot was only with one of them installed. I had to swap out the other one still, but so I have two hybrid 4,000 watt Magnum inverters, and they work just fine, even with my Tesla modules, which are a different charge profile entirely.
Yeah, it really is. Michael did some extreme work on his motor coach, that's for sure, and I give him total kudos for that. And in a future show, we'll talk about solar and if he would do that again, because he also did extensive solar work on his motor coach.
Yep.
But that's a future show. But yeah, just to do the Tesla batteries in his motor coach using two inverters and what have you, that's impressive, obviously, as it is. And is it needed for most people? Probably the answer is no.
No.
Michael did it. I have to think, and Michael, correct me if I'm wrong. Michael did it because it was a challenge. He did it because he could do it,
Yep.
and he wanted to do it. And that was basically it. Did he need to? Because he's probably plugged in most of the time. Because I have to think, Michael, you don't dry camp much.
Not much, but it sure makes travel days easy.
It does. It does. I also have to shout out, Michael, to you and give you credit right now because I'm actually starting to look through some of the live chats and I see you're actually replying to people as we're communicating here. I give you major credits. Like you're commenting, you're giving comments back to people as we're talking. I don't know how the heck you're doing that because I can't even keep up with what's going on. So yeah, major kudos to my techie friend there, Michael.
There is a question I see in there that I'd like to answer.
Please.
So lithium batteries, will they overload your alternator while driving? Yes. You need some sort of limiter between your alternator and your lithium batteries because the lithium batteries will just suck in all the current that they can get a hold of. Anything you can pump into them, they will take. You really need something that is going to limit the charge current that's going into the lithium ion batteries when it's coming off of your alternator. And David's all sorts of pixelated right now, unfortunately. Maybe move your hand across, maybe.
Yeah, it happens. Things. Hey, again, I'm coming from all the way from Burleson, Texas. Michael's in Vegas.
Yep.
Hey, we're trying to do what we can do.
It'll come in eventually.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Until then, it's very psychedelic looking. Oh, there it came back. Nice.
I tried. Hey, it happens. Things happen. What are you going to do?
Yep. Yeah.
That's just me being the Matrix. I'm being the Matrix at that
right.
point. That's kind of funny.
So,
okay, I just finally seeing what it was looking like. So.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I now so that Michael brings me to the question, following up on that answer you just gave of the alternator. That brings me to the question of, I've never heard of this before. I've never heard of so to me that almost says that no lithium battery is a direct drop-in replacement. You have to do something else above that.
It depends on your environment, right? So for a motor coach, like for your motor coach, David, it would be more drop-in replacement because your system doesn't automatically cross-connect voltage coming from your alternator into your chassis batteries. So you don't have a power path from the alternator to the battery, so you wouldn't have to worry about that. In my coach, they added the feature into the Spider system where it'll cross-connect the chassis battery to the coach battery and charge one way or the other depending on what you're doing. Whether you're stationary and your inverter, you can charge your starting battery, or whether you're mobile and you use the alternator to try to charge up your coach batteries. So in that
Yeah,
situation, I would you'd have to have something in there. It's not going to just instantly kill it, but it's going to draw the maximum amount of power that alternator will put out, and you'll what ends up happening is you fry the regulator in the alternator.
yeah, I've never actually, Michael. This is literally because of that question. The first time I've actually heard of this,
Yeah.
and this is you say it's not so much of an issue on my coach, which is a 2014 45 LP Tiffin,
Yep.
but it is on your coach, which is a 2015 because it
16.
charges
Yep.
to the Spider 16. Excuse me,
Yep.
because it charges through the Spider system.
Yep.
So, in your case, or in anybody in that same situation, if you will, and they
Mm-hmm.
don't know, the people won't know it for the
No.
most part. Let's face it, they
And
will not know it.
it's not going to be an instantaneous like smoke release and it just stops working. It'll be something that shortens the lifetime of the alternator. So they'll end up replacing it sooner than they would if they'd put this charge regulator in place. Yeah.
I don't want to replace an alternator. Let's
I
face
know.
it. That's just. I mean, as far as engine parts goes, that's one of the easier ones to do on the
Sure.
engine because it's right in the back there to get to for the most part, unless
Yeah.
you have a rear-facing radiator.
But they're not cheap.
But they're not cheap.
Yep.
So yeah, I've actually never heard of this before until this
Yeah.
question came up, and you just said that. This
Yep.
is actually new, and I've done a lot of research on this, and I've talked to you a lot about this, and you've never brought it up, and obviously you never brought it up to me because it's not an issue for my motor coach,
Right.
but it is an issue for any motor coach, Tiffin wise, Spider wise, after my year.
Yeah. Yeah. 2015 and newer, pretty much. You're going to want a charge
Well,
limiter.
that
I'm
kind of
actually trying to
sucks.
find one. Battleborn has one on their website. Oh, actually,
That really kind of blows my mind on that. And I've never heard of this before in all the research, nor have I ever seen any of other YouTubers mentioning this potential issue. And I'm glad who brought that question up because I'm really glad he did.
yeah.
Um, I apologize. I don't see the question offhand, but you brought it up. So I'm not sure who asked that question, but obviously it's a really solid question. Holy
Yeah,
cow.
that was Ken Cheshire.
So Ken, thank you.
Yep.
That's a very solid question. One I didn't even have the answer to. So obviously I'm glad I have Michael around.
Yeah, they do make alternators that have different charging capabilities, so that can handle lithium's hunger or thirst, if you will. But yeah, it's a different beast.
Okay, well that is a big showstopper right there. If anybody wants to watch this video, this is the reason to watch it is to know about your alternator, because I was not aware of that. I'm happy that I'm not in that situation, but like you said, it won't blow you up for the most part, if you will.
No.
But it'll just reduce the life expectancy of the battery. I would imagine
Of the alternator. Yeah.
of the alternator. Excuse
Yep.
me. But that to me in itself is not a good thing.
Well, it's something that if you go to do this type of project, that's why it's really good to either know someone who knows a lot about this, or have it done professionally, right? So if you were to contact Battleborn or one of their integrators and say, this is what I want to do, one of the things they're going to ask you or know based on your coach, if they have that experience, is if there's a charge path from your alternator to your lithium batteries. And if they know that, then they should be recommending a charge limiter.
Okay, that is actually really good information. Again, and I sound foolish for not knowing that, being a techie in general, but being a techie friend of Michael's. I should have already known that. And I hadn't even heard it.
Yep, it's okay. Like
It's
I
okay,
said,
you
it
forgive me
hadn't
for that?
applied. It didn't apply to your coach, so it wasn't something that we talked about. And on mine,
Okay.
because my battery voltage is 24 volts and my starter voltage is 12 volts, I don't have the two able to be cross connected anyway. I took that circuitry out, so it doesn't even apply to mine.
Well, then again, not much applies to yours currently.
Right. Everything's different.
That's right. Totally different for that matter. I would hate to be the person who buys your coach afterwards.
Or you'd love it. It's really kitted out.
Oh, or if you understand how it operates, sure. I'm in the
Yeah.
same situation. You and I have done so much to our motor coaches, Michael, that it's not a standard cell motor coach where it just operates like normal. We've done things to modify our coaches to make them work for us and
Yep.
basically make them better than most motor coaches out there, if you will. And the scary part of that is later when it comes to sell the coach, particularly if I get to that point where I want to sell this coach, because quite literally there's nothing out that competes against my coach or your coach in regards to technology at this point.
Right.
In my opinion.
Yep.
And if I did, I would want to resell it to somebody, not directly, but through a reseller, so I'm out of the picture. I don't want anybody contacting me about the coach.
Yeah.
So
you want to distance yourself from that thing.
Of course. I mean, not that it's a bad thing. It's a great thing.
Right.
The coach, your coach, our coach are great for the technology wise. But for the person who is not technology privileged,
Yep.
they might not have a clue. So anyways, getting back, let's see what we
here's
find
a post.
here, if there's anything else.
Just to finish up on that, here's a post by Victron Energy. They actually did a video where they show an alternator toasting its voltage regulator.
Oh no!
Yeah, and so they have buck boost converters and smart DC to DC charge isolators, and so this is what you would want in that situation. This is but one brand. Yeah, this is only one brand. There are others out there, but that's the kind of stuff you're going to want to look at.
Wow. Yeah. This is good news. I mean, not good news. This is good information because, again, as I said, I have not heard this in any other YouTube video that's been out there. I mean, so I say people in my video description that, yeah, this has been talked about. Lithium batteries have been talked about to death by everybody but us. But here we are now talking about it.
Yep.
And obviously this is great information because it's not something that I have read or seen in any other review to this point.
Yep.
Maybe I missed it. I could be 100% wrong, which I normally am. But
it's yeah. So a lot of the videos out there, they talk about the RV power system specifically, right? So they don't necessarily go into protecting the rest, like the alternator. Like if you're running a fifth wheel, there is a path through the 7-pin cable that you can charge the chassis batteries on the fifth wheel from the alternator in the truck. But most fifth wheel manufacturers don't have that connected just because they don't want to be responsible for any issues with the truck, right? They don't want that risk. So if you've done that modification after the fact to add that capability to charge those batteries, then you're going to want to pay attention to that type of stuff. It looks like there was a question, how do I handle protecting my alternator? Well, I don't have a connection there. So that's how I protect my alternator, is it's not connected to the LiPo at all.
Yep. Yeah, it's not there at all.
Yeah, actually, I can show you even a picture. Let's see here. So this right here, if you can see the mouse moving around, that is the cross connect, what they call the boost charge solenoid in the lithium or in the Tiffin Tiffin coaches. Whew, talking too much here. So this is controlled by that switch on your dash where you can do that emergency start and use your house batteries, but it's also controlled passively by the spider control system to cross connect your batteries so that you can equalize in both directions. And David, I know you have that. Yeah,
right.
I know you have that, but yours is only manual controlled.
Correct. Mine is manual controlled on my dashboard for joining the batteries together, if you will.
Yep.
Let's see what else we got here. David, an uncharged lithium battery looks pretty much like a short across the alternator.
Yes.
That's what Brian said. Yes, that's correct. Let's see. You are plugged into parks most of the time, so your batteries are already charged. So when you are driving, your batteries won't need that much of a charge from the alternator. Boondock worry?
Uh, so it won't need that much charge from an alternator, but it will absorb charge for whatever it needs. And if you're using the power from that system to power your coach through your inverter, which is, let's face it, the whole reason you have the batteries to begin with, then you're going to be drawing down those batteries and they're going to be sucking in current from the alternator if they can.
Brian also asks, Brian says, Michael Kidd, what is that link above? I'm not sure what he's referring to.
Was that it? Link above. Yeah, I was just scrolling through to see if I could find a link. I don't see a link, so sorry, Brian. I don't
RV
see what you're
Travel Still
referencing.
Play question 07 Allegro Bus 40 DP going to new Vicron dual phase.
Yeah, dual phase inverter charger. Have an issue
Yeah.
with current ATS. So no. If it's wired the way it is with the Tiffin coach to begin with, if they're just doing a drop-in replacement of your inverter charger, the output of your ATS will go into the input of your Victron dual phase inverter. However, that's not likely the best way to do it, depending on how your coach is wired. And 07, I'm just not familiar with, so I can't comment specifically. But on mine, my power from the 50 amp receptacle coming into the coach ran straight to a 50 amp breaker in my my breaker panel, supplied several loads, and then one of the loads off that 50 amp went to the factory inverter, and then the inverter output went to what's called a split section of the breaker panel. It's a split panel. So there's this little subsection of that panel that is only the stuff that's powered by the inverter. For a dual phase, in Tiffin, the inverter that was used, it cross connects the two output legs from two input legs. So if power goes away and it goes into inverting mode, the output will be a total combined 120 volt on both legs at the same time. The split phase, you'll actually have 120 on one, 120 on the other, and if you measure across them, it'll be 240. So it doesn't combine those legs like the Magnums do. This is getting way deep in the weeds, so apologies.
It is.
But yeah, no concern about the ATS to answer the exact question, but there will need to be some wiring differences depending on how your coach is wired for the 120 volt output.
Ralph asks, because the lithium batteries rest at a higher voltage than AGM batteries, won't the alternator think that the lithium batteries are charged and that it's current and thus no current to them? I don't think the alternator is smart enough for that. The
No.
alternator, I think, just passes power, period.
Right. So the way the alternator works, the coils spinning produce a voltage, and then it goes through the voltage regulator, which normalizes that voltage for a certain level on its output. If there's more current draw, then the voltage will sag, and the voltage regulator is responsible for keeping that voltage up. So when you draw more and more current, you're going to get to a point where you exceed the capacity of the regulator and the coil and the alternator, and you're going to start dragging down the voltage, which is going to cause even more current flow. And if you don't blow the voltage regulator, you're going to smoke the coils in the alternator. So the power flow isn't intelligent. It's just, if this needs current, it's going to pull as much as it can until something stops it, basically.
So moving on to that, then, is somebody asks, and I really can't pronounce what their handle is, but or their username.
Crazy ketos. Two crazy ketos.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah.
Yeah.
It said they have a single Battleborn battery in their travel trailer. Are you saying that they can screw up the truck alternator through the 7-pin?
If you have the there's an aux power pin in the 7-pin connector. If you have that connected on your truck side and on the travel trailer side, then you can definitely push power into your lithium ion battery from your truck alternator. Now, most of those installs will have that fused, so you can't go above a certain amount of current, and you'll pop that fuse and it'll protect the alternator. But if you didn't have it fused, if you did it aftermarket and you weren't paying attention, yes, you certainly could get to a situation where you hurt the alternator, or some interconnecting wiring may get too hot because it's passing too much current, melt the insulation off, let magic smoke out. Could be a bad day. Doug asked, and I saw him ask this earlier, if I was familiar with the Volta system, and I'm not. I've not heard of that one, so I'll have to look into it.
So, in a nutshell, seeing that we have about 9 minutes left, the overlying question is the general question that this whole video is supposed to be about is lithium ion batteries a good choice for you? And that will come down to a number of things: how you use your motor coach, how long you plan to own your motor coach before you trade it in or do something else. Now, again, if you buy lithium ion batteries in your current coach, trade it in later, you can always pull those out because of the cost and, swap the batteries, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, the idea is like in my particular case, I need batteries at this point. And so, and a lot of you who have been following Brenda and I for a while, we've been talking about our battery situation, and I still haven't done anything, only because I've been waiting to try to help out a friend. So,
and it kind of bit you with this cold snap in Texas.
It did. It bit me big time because I did not take care of my batteries. I did not replace them in time. And we had that issue in Houston where the weather and everything and the power outages and all that. And it cost me a lot in diesel fuel, quite literally.
Yep.
But in any case, to answer the question, is lithium batteries right for your motor coach? It all really does. Don't let people say, oh, lithium's the only way to go, because it might be for them. And it might be price point wise, things like that, depending on how you use them and if you dry camp a lot, for example, lithium batteries, there's no choice. Definitely use lithium batteries because you're going to use less generator power to recharge those batteries, which means less diesel fuel.
Yep.
So you'll be able to stay out longer dry camping, if you will, because you'll be burning less diesel fuel to recharge the battery bank, because lithium batteries charge a lot faster, and you can run them down further before you have to charge them again.
Yep.
So it all comes down to what your need is, and is it worthwhile price point wise to do so?
Yeah.
So it's not a clear cut yes, use lithium, period, because
I
lithium
would say,
batteries are.
Yeah, I would say if you have the intent of hanging onto your coach, or the intent of swapping the batteries from your current coach to a new one should you change to a newer coach later, and you can afford them, absolutely get lithium. That's where I would stand on it. I'm not talking about if you can afford the upfront cost, because the long term they will more than pay for themselves. Your charge cycles, like I'll bring up, I brought up Morton's on the Move earlier, Tom Morton's post about this. The rated life of the batteries at 80% depth of discharge is, for lead acids, for the really good AGMs, you're talking 1,200 cycles at 50%. For the lead acid, or for the lithium ion, you're talking 12,000. So 10 times more cycles at 50%. Again, if you go to 80%, your AGMs, you're only going to get 700 cycles out of them, whereas the lithiums, you're going to get 7,000. So,
and I'm way past that at my point.
Yes.
Being that mine's a 2014 coach.
Yep. Yeah. So the longevity wise, you're David. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Longevity over the long haul, the lithium ions are going to come out way ahead on cost. And comfort, because the battery discharge profile is much higher, so it maintains that high voltage, so it's better for your electronics. They take a charge much faster, so you don't have to run your generator as much. they have a deeper depth of discharge capability, so you get more power out of them, so you can actually use more out of them. They're way lighter, so they're less than half the weight of lead acid batteries, and so you're going to be lighter going down the road for whatever that's worth. For a towable, that's a big deal. For a diesel coach, that's not so much of a problem. But so there's lots of pros, but you got to get over that upfront cost.
Hey, hey, Michael, two things real quick, if I
Mhm.
may, or not two things, one thing really. There's a couple questions that are directly particular to you. One of them is asking one of the things I brought up. We discussed beforehand. We went live about your cost of your Tesla batteries versus normal batteries. So that's something you can handle. But what I want to ask you to do is you can please go full screen on yourself at this point and answer those questions. Because of my predicament of my radiation, I need to use the restroom.
Yep. You know what? Actually, I'll just turn you off. How about that?
I didn't know how else to say that.
It's
So
all good.
I
It's all good.
apologize in advance, everybody. It's
I'll switch over
Michael
to
answered these questions.
yeah. I'll switch over to the
Um,
browser view.
just play a background video or something.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. I'll be back.
so I was actually working this up, but I didn't have a chance to finish it completely. But comparing Tesla to Battleborn, a Tesla battery module has 5.2 kilowatt hours of capacity, and that's at 24 volt. Well, kilowatt hours takes into account the voltage. So the Battleborn is 1.4 kilowatt hours. The Battleborn per cell cost $900 on sale. The Tesla module costs $1,300. That's normal. On sale, they're as down as low as like 1,050, 1,100 shipped. Now the biggest difference here so far is Battleborn are made in the USA. They're a manufacturer. They sell direct to customers. Tesla modules come from people on eBay that have picked up a wrecked Tesla and disassembled it and selling the Tesla battery modules. The one that I've used several times, I have actually purchased 15 or 16 Tesla battery modules in the last several years. 4 in my coach, 4 in my car hauler, 2 in my astronomy shed, and then I swapped out another 4 for other purposes. But so looking at capacity alone, the Tesla has 3.7 times more capacity than the Battleborn does. And then here is, if you convert that into amp hours at 12.9 volts, this is what they end up having. And this was the tested capacity of the Battleborn, and this is the rated capacity of the Teslas. So there might be a little less in the Tesla after it's used and sold through eBay or whatever. But to get the Tesla module usable, you have to buy another inverter. So if you go with the 4,000 volt amp, or they call it a 4,000 watt hybrid that I did, you're looking at about $1,700 for the inverter. And then I used 2 12 volt converters just to get enough current handling capacity for my coach. So 2 of those together is about $280. So if you come up to the total cost of the install for one battery and all things that go along with it, for the Battleborn, you're still looking at $900 because it's drop-in replacement, unless you need one of those charge controllers we talked about to protect the alternator. For the Tesla module, you're looking at $3,200 for one battery, but you get 3.7 times more capacity in the Tesla module. So when you do that cost per kilowatt hour for a single module, you're actually already less expensive for Tesla than you are for the Battleborn when you take into account your actual ability, your usable capacity of the batteries. If you increase the batteries, that cost per kilowatt hour changes again. So if you go 2 Battleborns versus 2 Teslas, the Battleborn cost per kilowatt hour stays the same because there's no no inverter, converters, whatever. But the Tesla module starts getting better because you still use this single bit of overhead, and then you're adding in more modules to get more capacity. So at 2 modules, you're only at 2.8 kilowatts on the Battleborns, but you're at 10.4 on the Teslas, and you're at $440 per kilowatt hour. if you go up to 4, you've got 5.6 kilowatt hours on the Battleborn, but you have 20 kilowatt hours on the Tesla module. And your cost per kilowatt hour is almost half for the Tesla batteries compared to the Battleborns. Now, again, you do need some additional capability, right? I added a battery management system that's based on an Arduino. The Arduino itself was maybe $25. So, that protects my Tesla batteries and lets me see data from them. Matter of fact, hey, David's back. I can show you my interface here. So this is the interface I made for looking at my power system. It's a bit over the top, but so here's all the power flow. Actually, there we go. Now you can see my mouse. This is all the power flow through the power system in the coach. So there's leg 1 power input, leg 2 power input, and then this is the solar input here. This is what the inverter is doing. So it sees 24.8 volts at 1 amp, and that 1 amp is flowing into the battery. This inverter is doing 12 amps into the battery, and then my coach AC loads are only 4 amps on leg 1 and 6 amps on leg 2, and my DC loads in the coach are 7.8 amps. So I have a lot of monitoring capacity. I can see my individual cell group voltages, my terminal temperatures on my Tesla batteries. I can see the temperatures of the inverters, and all kinds of stuff in there. Yeah, this is way deep, right? But this is what I look at when I want to see what's going on in my batteries.
As I said, Michael is my techie friend, as you can tell. I mean, as much as I like tech, Michael is not only a techie, but he's also a techie programmer. Thus, the screen you just saw is just majorly intensive. And I give him really kudos for what he's done in his motor coach. Again, this is a freaking motor coach. It's not like a nuclear power plant, but it looks like one.
I've operated those too, so that may be where my obsessiveness comes in.
Michael is a submariner, so he actually worked and monitored nuclear power plants on nuclear submarines. So, Michael, again, thank you for your service in that regard. But we are past our hour of time here, and I think we've touched on a lot of different things on lithium batteries in regards to a motor coach. So the last one being is the price comparison, which I think you just did, which is great. And Stan is asking, is solar really worth it with a lithium system? Solar is going to be another topic that we're going to talk about in the future with another dual video just like this one. Yep. If you enjoy this type of video, please give us a thumbs up. And that will encourage us to do more of these. And one of the topics that Michael did want to talk about was solar, because Michael actually has done extensive solar work, not only on his motor coach, but actually his 24-foot car hauler. Mm-hmm. So he has a lot of knowledge when it comes to not only solar, but Tesla batteries and solar and chargers and everything else. And it was an interesting conclusion that he came to over time that we will address at a future episode, hopefully. So stay tuned for that.
The short answer is it depends.
As always.
Yeah. Another question just in the chat real quick here. Ken asks, can lithiums be added in stages? Yes. Because the lifespan of the lithium batteries is so long, I would be comfortable even a year later adding more lithiums, new lithiums to an existing lithium install. I don't know that I'd go 3 or 4 years between bump ups, but a year, 14, 16 months, something like that. That should be just fine.
You still want them to equal out to some degree, because you don't want to have one battery much weaker than other batteries, because it can pull down just like regular batteries, if you will. So you want to make sure you're balanced out as much as you can. So as Michael mentioned, going over years is probably not a good idea, but over a few months, 6 months, whatever, you're probably not going to hurt yourself by extending your battery capacity. So if you're thinking about this in regards to cost, say you could afford X number right now and then add a few later.
Yep.
Yeah, it depends on, but it all depends on how much later you're referring to. Because again, you don't want one particular battery. I mean, even in AGM batteries or wet cell batteries, you got one cell that goes down can bring down the whole system
Yep.
really badly. And so same thing somewhat can occur in lithium, but lithium basically you're talking about the entire battery. There's cells inside the lithium battery. They're literal cells.
Mm-hmm.
And you could actually have a bad cell in there, and that one cell can bring down that particular battery, which then would degrade the rest of your batteries,
Yeah.
just because the output.
So, and I'll show this picture here real quick.
Please
Actually,
do.
I'll show this one real quick first. So you can see all these little circles. Those are the actual tops or bottoms of the 18650
Literally.
cells.
Now consider, now just to give you an idea, guys, what you're looking at, just to make the simplistic, Michael, what you're looking at is, picture yourself, if you will, a AA battery,
Yeah.
basically sized, and
Yep.
and you're looking at the top part of a AA battery.
Yeah.
Every one of those, that each one of those circles is an individual battery.
There's 444 of those, if I remember correctly. I'd have to go back and confirm, but so don't quote me on that one. But there's over 400 of those
So
little batteries.
if you lose one of those,
Well, so that's what I was going to say. On the Tesla
right,
packs, each battery has a little teeny tiny wire that connects it to the back plane that connects all the batteries together. So, and they're called fusible links. So basically, if one single cell has a problem, it'll torch that little fusible link due to overcurrent, and it'll isolate that battery or that cell from the rest of the battery and let you continue to operate. The same would go for if I had a problem with an entire module. If you can see here, each module is connected through its own 300 amp fuse in my system. So if one module had an issue where it was running away and taking too much current, it would actually blow this fuse and protect the rest of the system from that faulty module.
okay. Well, we hope that we didn't mean to get into Tesla versus Battleborn. Basically, the conversation is any lithium battery, not just Battleborn. Tesla, Battleborn, whatever. Tesla is more involved because it's a different type of cell and what you need to do with it, obviously, in order to make it work. Battleborn is more of a drop-in replacement. Again, drop-in is not a real word when it comes to these, because you have to be careful of not only your charging system, your inverter, but you also, as we learned, and I learned for the first time, the alternator can become an issue. Your engine alternator, which I did not know until now. So to me, this is a great video, which I expected it to be a good video because, hey, it's Michael and I. But we talk, Michael and I we're just techies, and we just go back and forth on things. And as you know, and but this was actually news to me, and this was the first I've heard of it anywhere, and it came from Michael, which I think is great. So I thank you for that, Michael. But Michael never really brought it up to me before, because my coach, the 2014 Tiffin, doesn't have the issue of the alternator because it's separated.
Yep.
So the newer ones, 2015 on, have that issue where you're going to have to do something to make sure you're separated. So drop-in replacement, when you read online, hey, this is a drop-in replacement for your lithium ion, for your AGM or your wet cell batteries, you can't take it for the word. You gotta make sure you're talking to the right people to do it.
Yep.
Battleborn or whoever. And Battleborn, we mention them only because they've done a really, really good job at educating the consumer. Their online channel of YouTube is phenomenal, in my humble opinion. I do not own them. I do not have them. But from my research and looking at their YouTube channel, I give them major kudos of other manufacturers that have actually tried to educate the consumer. And that's my opinion only. Now, again, this is coming from a person who's been working with EEZRV products for many years, who is also coming out with a battery, and has changed it again multiple times based on input from Michael and myself, based on their battery management system. So they haven't really released one yet because they keep making changes because they want to make it right. So I give them kudos for that, but they're not out yet. But they will be at some point, just like
Yep.
other manufacturers are. And it's not just Battleborn. Battleborn, in our humble opinion, in my humble opinion, I don't want to give this to Michael, is the go-to choice right now.
Yeah, I would
Uh,
say so.
for a few reasons. One is because, yeah, because they give a lot of information. They open up themselves to research. They've actually worked with other YouTubers, not us, but other YouTubers to dissect their batteries, if you will. So we give them a lot of
Hmm.
credit for doing that in particular. So we're not promoting them directly, but if you're looking for batteries, that's one way to lean right now. Even though there's other manufacturers, because a lot of people are coming out with them, that's for sure.
Yeah, Zentrex, just as a point of comparison, they have a lithium-ion battery set that does heat as well. It self-heats. They were put into the RV Geeks RV. They're last I looked, they will not sell aftermarket. They only sell through OEMs.
That's right.
So they did it with RV Geeks just to get the RV Geeks to test and help out. Like
Yep. They
Easy
wanted
RV Products
promotion.
is working with David. Yeah, they
That's
wanted.
correct.
Yeah, and they wanted the publicity as well, of course. Because
Right.
publicity never
And
hurts.
quite literally, Michael, they reached out. I mean, I shouldn't say they reached out. I talked to them about it, and they said, no, we only do this one, and we don't really want to sell the consumer directly.
Yeah,
Um, and so they did it basically with the RV Geeks just for promotion purposes only, to
yeah.
get their name out there for the OEMs for whatever reason. Um,
And there's others
Again,
as
I
well.
have there is, yes, there's others as well. So, as you know, from my channel, Brendan and I, we only talk about what we do use, would use, or have used. We don't promote just to promote. And
Yep.
and Michael is basically the same way. So, as far as the question that just came up at the end here, David, are you going to be using the Tesla install? Michael is trying to talk me into that. That's all I can say. And Donald Chen from EEZRV Products, of course, wants me to use his product. We've been going back and forth with Donald. Actually, Michael has been helping me influence Donald somewhat too on his input on the batteries. Um, Sooner or later, I will say, in my humble opinion, again, this is not Michael's opinion or anything like that. Uh, they'll have a battery that's compatible to other batteries on the market, that's sustainable, that is worthwhile. The alternator thing to me though was a shocker. I was not aware of that, only because I didn't need to be. Michael didn't make me aware of that because I didn't need to be, but I'd never heard of that from anybody else. So I'm still, again, I'm bringing it up because I'm shocked by that. I didn't even think about it. I never thought the alternator would discharge back and burn out an alternator because of the lithium batteries.
Yep.
That's just mind boggling to say the least. So, any case, that's your information. We hope we helped you out to some degree in regards to if lithium batteries are right for you. It comes down to price point, usability, how much you drive camp, what have, and however and whatever you do. I will be putting in this motor coach lithium batteries of some sort
Hmm.
at some point. Maybe Michael will talk me into Tesla, but I don't know. But we'll see. You never know. Michael, we're hoping to get together with Michael. We haven't been together in a while, but we're hoping to get together this summer. And if so, we will do some projects together that may or may not be RV worthy, but will be fun to watch regardless, like ripping apart a Tesla car to put in a frunk opener or put in a foot detector to open your trunk. I mean,
Yeah.
totally nothing to do with RVs, but just fun in general.
Yep. Hey, and for giggles, here's my other big Tesla battery install in my car
Oh,
hauler.
yeah. Yeah, that's right. I mentioned earlier, Michael had a car hauler. He's a 24-foot car hauler, which his
Mm-hmm.
Tesla Model X goes into. Well, he decided to put solar panels, which I helped him install on top of the roof of this thing.
Yep.
Not only that, but he put Tesla batteries, as you can see, the two Magna sine wave inverters also inside his freaking car hauler.
Yep.
Yes, you're seeing, I think, is that 4 Tesla batteries
It is.
inside
Yeah.
the car hauler? Yeah, nuts. So totally nuts. He's my geek out friend of the year. Well,
Here's
more
this.
than the year.
Yeah. Here's
Yeah,
the
there's the
solar
solar
panels.
panels.
Yeah, he helped me throw up on there.
Yeah, that was a fun day. Let me tell you, that was a fun day in the wind. That was a good
Yes.
day. So, in any case, guys, I hope you guys and gals, we hope you enjoyed this talk on lithium batteries. It's we everybody's talked about lithium batteries, every freaking YouTuber, but it's not us, and we're us. So we call it like it is. We say it like it is. And I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm David Bott from Outside Our Bubble.
And I'm Michael Kidd from turtleherding.com.
And together we're outside our turtleherdingbubble.com
Or
something
Turtle
like that.
Bubbles. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows?
We're
But in any
goofy.
case, we hope yeah. We hope you enjoyed the techie information, because that's basically what we are. And I want to thank Michael Kidd for his time and his expertise into batteries and his implementation installation. Yeah, that's the word. That's the freaking word. I couldn't get it out.
Yeah, it's all good.
But of his Tesla install, because it is very unique, to quite literally, to say the least. It's very unique, and he's one of a few people who have actually done that. And I give him total kudos for that. And as a friend of mine, I thank him very much for not only for sharing his knowledge with me, but to our viewers of Outside Our Bubble.
Yep. Thanks for having me. It's always great to get together.
Take care. Keep safe, everyone. This is David Bott and Michael Kidd from Turtle Herding signing out, saying, hey, if you like what we do, please click thumbs up. I know that's on our channel, not on his. But if you go to Turtle Herding, he has a channel of his YouTube. You can click thumbs up on one of his videos just to give him credit regardless anyways. But we do appreciate every one of our subscribers. If you like what we do, please click subscribe and also give us a thumbs up. And Michael and I will both be coming to you in the future with other techie type things, which Brenda doesn't usually like to get involved in.
We'll see you later.
You good?
Yep.
Take care. Keep safe.